For decades, the most chilling acronym in international politics was MAD, M-A-D, Mutual Assured Destruction. This was the logic of the nuclear age. If two superpowers each possess the ability to destroy the other, then neither could safely strike first. It's a terrifying thought, and yet, in a grim way, it was stabilizing. Because the horror of the outcome restrained the ambition of the actors. Now, we may be drifting towards a different acronym, not instead of MAD, but alongside it. A concept that was described in the Superintelligence strategy called MAIM, M-A-I-M, Mutual Assured AI Malfunction. You heard it right. Mutual Assured AI Malfunction. And if MAD belonged to the age of nuclear weapons, MAIM will very well belong to the age of frontier AI. Now that is a rather extraordinary thought. Because the central claim is not merely that AI is powerful. We know that, and its power capabilities are just going to go off the charts. The point here is that a serious attempt by one state to secure an overwhelming strategic monopoly through advanced AI might be so dangerous to its rivals and perhaps to humanity itself that those rivals would be strongly incentivized to disable that project before it succeeds. Not destroy the world, just disable the project. That is the key distinction over here. And in this case, it's a very significant distinction because, as per the argument in the superintelligence strategy, is that this may become a new deterrence regime. If a state believes a rival's AI project could produce either a strategic monopoly or a catastrophic loss of control, then it may feel compelled to intervene before that project reaches completion. In that sense, MAIM resembles MAD. Both rely on a shared vulnerability which deters any side from making an unchecked bid for dominance. But MAIM differs in one important aspect. The target is not cities or population. The rival's AI effort itself. Now this is both reassuring and also a bit unsettling. Reassuring because it suggests that there may be a brake on reckless races towards superintelligence. Unsettling because it suggests that the brake may come not from treaties, wisdom, or a sudden outbreak of international humility. I don't know when that is going to happen. I even fumbled saying that. But from the expectation of sabotage, disruption, and preemptive interference. In other words, the system stabilizes because everyone understands that certain projects may not be allowed to finish. That itself is quite a remarkable idea and in a way, a very old one. Deterrence has always relied on a simple psychological truth. If the price of winning is unacceptable, rational actors may choose not to run. The nuclear version said, if you launch, you die too. The AI version may become, if you race for unchecked dominance, your project will be stopped. That is MAIM. Now notice what is different here. MAD was about the destruction of societies. MAIM, at least in theory, is about the disabling of destabilizing technical systems. MAD threatened human annihilation. MAIM, as the authors argue, aims to keep deterrence from devolving into that. It is, one might say, a colder, more surgical form of strategic vulnerability. Not humane, exactly, but perhaps less apocalyptic. And yet the whole thing depends on one enormous assumption, that the actors involved remain rational, that they interpret one another correctly, that they know the difference between a civilian AI service and a destabilizing strategic project, that they do not panic, that they do not misread a warning as an act of war, that they do not climb from disruption to escalation and from escalation to catastrophe. And of course, history offers only limited comfort on these matters because deterrence is not self-maintaining. It requires communication, verification, shared understanding, trust, guardrails. And this is what is important. A MAIM regime would need deliberate maintenance, much as nuclear deterrence eventually required explicit doctrines, verification measures, and limits on destabilizing defenses. Clearer escalation ladders have to be developed. Better transparency around high-risk AI project has to be cultivated. Protections around proliferation to rogue actors and arrangements that distinguish dangerous strategic programs from ordinary civilian AI use. And that is the heart of the issue. The real question is not whether AI will become strategically significant, because in many ways it already is. The question is whether our institutions can mature fast enough to govern that importance before crisis logic governs it for us. Because if MAIM becomes the default, then the world will not simply be competing over who builds the best AI. It will be competing over which AI efforts are seen as tolerable and which as threatening, so that the dangerous AI can be disrupted by the other nations. Now, this is not a technological or a technical future. It is a very geopolitical one. And perhaps that is the deepest lesson over here. We often talk about artificial intelligence as though it were mainly about innovation, productivity, convenience, and progress. But once systems become powerful enough to alter military balance, intelligence capabilities, economic dominance, and even the survival calculation of states, AI ceases to be merely a commercial technology. It becomes strategic infrastructure. And strategic infrastructure is never governed by optimism alone. So MAIM versus MAD is not merely a clever comparison. It is a warning. A warning that the logic of deterrence may be migrating from the nuclear world into the digital one, from missiles to models, from silos to data centers, from the certainty of retaliation to the expectation of disabling intervention. And if that is true, then we need more than faster models. We actually need better statecraft, better verification mechanisms, better restraint among politicians, and a much clearer understanding that the race for superintelligence may not end with a winner. It will instead end with a standoff, and perhaps for a time, that standoff is what prevents something worse. Think about it.